prostrated except Iblis, the devil, Satan. But we don't say that they prostrated to Adam to worship Adam. They prostrated to Adam in obedience to Allah. And it's similar to shedding blood in Islam. It's not permissible to shed blood. You can't shed anyone's blood, have his blood spilled on the earth. But there are certain times when shedding blood becomes a religious issue. It becomes the deen. It becomes worship. For an example, in Islam, we circumcise our babies. And when you go to circumcise the baby, there's going to be blood. That is the blood that's permissible to shed. Someone has a bad tooth, his tooth is decaying. So he wants to get it out so the decay won't spread to the other parts of the body. Islam allowed that blood to be shed. So now the shedding of the blood becomes the religion because Allah allowed it, or Allah ordered it in the case of the circumcision. So prostrating to Adam became worship because Allah ordered it. But it was a prostration of respect, a prostration of worship and obedience. Similar to that is the black stone. We prostrate towards the direction, keeping ourselves united amongst ourselves. So we're going to open up the door now. There are a lot of other misconceptions, but we'll see what our students have to say and what they have to order. We're going to start with my brother Muhammad Al-Afghani. Tfaddal ya akhi Muhammad.
Yeah, my question is why hijab is made obligatory for women?
Concerning the hijab of the woman, some people may say this is oppressive, especially in the summertime or especially in places where the heat is hard and is hard to bear. It's unbearable. Why should she have to wear hijab in Florida? Why should she have to wear hijab in the climates of Saudi Arabia where the temperature reaches 130 degrees Fahrenheit? This is oppression. Well, in actuality, this is honoring the woman. This is honoring the woman in that it puts a cover over her just as we would cover up a diamond or anything else that is expensive or important. We do not put it on display. We don't put it on display. When a man sees a woman who's covered up, the first thing that he does is he comes to know the worth of that particular woman from the inside. He doesn't fall in love with her because he sees her beauty, the size and the shape and the form and the contours of her body. So because she's voluptuous, he falls in love with her. And that's all she's reduced to in his eyes. No, we're going to see the content of her creed and the way her character is, because what's going to come out to us is what is on the inside of that woman, because we do not see what's on the outside. So Allah ordered the woman to wear the hijab, to wear the Islamic garb. And again, I remind you, it is not strange that we see the pictures of Mary. And I don't necessarily believe that those pictures of Mary are correct. The color is incorrect for the most part from the description that was given in the Bible about Jesus. And the color that we knew the Hebrews were, they are not like the pictures. That's institutionalized racism. Someone to believe that Jesus was a white person with blue eyes and blonde hair, that is not consistent with the Bible. But yet the person, whenever you tell him, close your eyes and imagine Jesus, and he's a Christian, he imagines a white person. That's part of the institutionalized racism. And it's part of the contradictions that the people have in their practice and what the Bible is saying. And I don't say that to offend anyone. I say that as food for thought. But we do believe that that picture of Mary is similar and consistent with how the women used to dress back there in a moderate and a modest way. Okay, Akhi, Noor al-Islam.
Yes, my question, some Christians said that why Muslims worship Kaaba. I think you have explained it, and I have another question. Maybe who has the right to make some interpretations of Quran, Holy Quran? Because somebody, some Muslim, like I have the right to interpret Holy Quran, depend on his opinion.
That's a good question, Noor. As it relates to who has the right to interpret the Quran, the one who has the right is the one who is well endowed, the one who has a good command and a good knowledge of the Arabic language. He also has a good knowledge, a found and sound knowledge of the books of tafsir, those books that explain the Quran. He doesn't necessarily have to be a scholar, but the first people who are most qualified to explain the Quran are the ulama, the scholars of Islam, especially the mufassirun from them. Those people, who was their job, they took it upon themselves to be experts in the explanation of the Quran, starting with the companions. And then after them, the other scholars also, from those who were taught by the companions, they gave us explanations of the Quran. So a person today, he has to have a good working knowledge about that. Also, In addition to having knowledge of al-Islam, knowledge of the Arabic, he has to have knowledge of sound knowledge of the authentic Sunnah, because the Sunnah explains the Quran. He has to have a sound knowledge of the science of what is known as Asbabun Nuzul, why certain verses were revealed. When you know why the verse was revealed, you understand the true meaning of that particular verse. So it's not for everyone to come forth and take liberties with the Quran. Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, is from the most intelligent Arabs and the best companion. He said, when he was asked about one word of the Quran, he said, what sky is going to protect me? And what earth is going to protect me? Which sky is going to be there to protect me? And which earth is going to protect me if I was to mention one thing about the Quran that I don't know about? They asked him about one of the words of the Quran, an explanation of the Quran. He said, I don't know. They said, you don't know, Abu Bakr? He said, I don't know. You think I'm just going to say something about the Quran and I don't know? If I were to take the liberties to say something about the Quran that's not correct, or I don't know, which sky is going to protect me from Allah's anger and his wrath? Which earth can I open up and go in to hide from Allah? Which one? So we have to be very careful concerning that. Steve.
I'm Christian. I want to know if it's possible to marry the Muslim or not.
Concerning this particular question, is it possible or permissible for a non-Muslim man to marry a Muslim woman? No, this is not permissible. This is not something that is allowed in the religion of al-Islam. The Muslim woman, she can only marry the Muslim man who is upright in his character. She can't even marry a Muslim man if he's known to be a fornicator or an adulterer. There's a Muslim man, her cousin, someone from the community. He's a Muslim. He believes in Allah. He prays. He does all of that. But the people of the neighborhood, they know that he commits adultery or fornication. He's doing it right now, and it's a well-known fact that that's what he's doing. If he goes to seek that girl's hand in marriage, Allah said it's not permissible. This is not permissible for the believing men and the believing women to marry that type of individual. So not only can she not marry the non-Muslim man, but she can't even marry the Muslim man who is a fornicator. Why? Because the Muslim woman, she is protected, the issue of the hijab. She's a person who is looked at in the society, looked at by her family members as being more precious than a diamond, platinum, or anything like that. So it's not permissible. Another reason behind that is because maybe the Muslim man who does fornication will be a trial for her in her religion. He may give her a disease. He may cause her to leave her religion. He may cause her to disobey Allah. That's with the Muslim man. So what about the other man who's a non-Muslim? He's a non-Muslim and he doesn't even see the impermissibility of drinking wine. He's a non-Muslim, but he drinks wine. You never know what's going to happen to him when he drinks wine. He says it's okay to take drugs. He doesn't see that as something that's against his religion. His book says it's not permissible, but he's saying I can still do it. So we don't put her in that position because we don't want her to be tried in her life or in her religion. And for the most part, that individual will take her away from her religion. That's what Allah said, that those people, أُولَٰئِكَ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى النَّارِ. Those people invite you to the hellfire. So when it's time for Christmas, she's married to a non-Muslim man. It's time for Christmas, they're going to put the Christmas tree up. They're going to put pictures about Santa Claus, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I don't know what Santa Claus has to do with Jesus being born on December 25th and all of that, but she's going to have to listen to and obey what her husband was saying, and that's going to be a trial and a tribulation in her religion. And Allah knows best. Okay, Ayman, do you have a question as well?
What's different when you read the Quran by the Arabic language and another language?
Is it permissible to read the Quran in another language? Yes, it's permissible, but the reward of reading the Quran is tremendous in al-Islam. To pick up the Quran and to read it, you get 10 hasanat, 10 rewards, 10 blessings for each character, for each harf. Alif, Lam, Mim is 30 blessings. Alif is 10, Lam is 10, Mim is 10. When you read it in another language, that is not the case. But still, as reverts, as people who don't understand Arabic, you still should read the Quran in your language, but you have to do your best to be diligent, to try to learn the original language of the Quran. You have to learn the language of the Quran. We're going to bring this episode now to a close. the episode concerning the misconceptions in the religion of Islam. We thank you for your participation and for tuning in, and we hope to see you in our next upcoming episode of Islam 101, inshallah. Wassalam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.